A small child once asked his grandfather, "Dada ji, when you grow old, do you become weak?" The grandfather smiled and replied, "No, when you grow old, you become selective. Selective about your words, selective about your energy, selective about your emotions, selective about your battles." A small boy once asked his grandfather, "When people grow old, do they become weak?" The grandfather smiled gently and said, "No, they become careful. Careful with their words, careful with their emotions, careful with their trust." Because life, over time, teaches a very silent but powerful lesson. Not everything that is true needs to be spoken. And not everyone who listens is your well-wisher. When we are young, we believe sharing everything is honesty. We think opening our entire heart is bravery. But as the years pass, we realize that wisdom is not in speaking more, it is in knowing what to protect. Old age does not come only with wrinkles, it comes with understanding. You begin to see that some people listen to respond, some listen to judge, and some listen only to store your weaknesses for later use. Your regrets, for example, are sacred. They are teachers, not stories for entertainment. When you expose them to the wrong ears, they no longer heal you, they define you. Let your past correct you, but do not let it label you. Carry it as experience, not as an introduction. Money is another sensitive language. The moment people know your numbers, relationships start changing their tone. Smiles begin to carry expectations, and respect quietly turns into calculation. Silence about your finances is not dishonesty, it is self-respect. Family problems are like internal wounds. They need care, not publicity. When you invite outsiders into your private storms, they rarely bring solutions, they bring opinions. And opinions are cheap, but their damage can be expensive. Your plans too deserve privacy. A seed grows best underground. Announced dreams attract unnecessary advice, unwanted comparisons, and invisible pressure. Let your success speak when the time is right. Even your fears should be handled gently. Some people will comfort them, but some will remember them. And the same hand that once wiped your tears might later press on the same wound. Strength grows quietly. Good deeds lose their fragrance when they are announced too loudly. Kindness becomes heavy when it asks for applause. The good forget it. Let others remember. Disappointments also need careful listeners. Not everyone has the heart to hold your pain without reshaping it into gossip or judgment. Choose your ears wisely. And most importantly, never share everything just because you feel lonely. Loneliness is solved by connection, not by emotional leakage. Your life is a sacred book. Not everyone deserves every chapter. Old age is not about shrinking, it is about simplifying. You speak less, but mean more. You trust slowly, but deeply. You stop explaining yourself and start protecting your peace. A shallow river makes a lot of noise, but a deep river flows in silence. And that silence is not emptiness, it is maturity. Because in the end, the greatest wealth is not what you own, but what you can quietly keep within yourself: dignity, clarity, and peace of mind. A man once told me, "I am not afraid of growing old. I am afraid of becoming unnecessary." I smiled and said, "Old age does not make you unnecessary. It makes you selective. Selective about where you go, what you say, and most importantly, whom you trust." Time slowly removes the noise from life and leaves behind only what truly matters. And one of the greatest skills you develop with age is the art of silence. When you are young, you speak to be noticed. When you grow older, you remain silent to stay peaceful. You realize that every word you release is like a bird. Once it leaves your mouth, it no longer belongs to you. It can be misunderstood, misused, or multiplied. That is why wisdom does not shout, it whispers. There are some parts of your life that deserve protection, not promotion. Your mistakes, for example, are your private classrooms. They shape your character, soften your ego, and deepen your understanding. But when shared carelessly, they become labels. People stop seeing who you are today and only remember who you were yesterday. Growth becomes invisible when the past is spoken too loudly. Money is another silent test of relationships. The moment figures are revealed, intentions begin to change their clothes. Advice becomes entitlement, concern becomes comparison, and sometimes even love begins to ask for returns. Keeping your financial life private is not secrecy, it is safety. Family matters are like delicate glass. Handle them with your own hands. The more people you invite into your personal struggles, the more fingerprints you collect, and soon you cannot tell who is helping and who is simply touching. Not every listener is a healer. Your dreams also need quiet soil to grow. Announced too early, they become targets of doubt and unnecessary opinions. A dream exposed to too many voices often forgets its own language. Silence protects intention. Fear is another fragile guest in the heart. When you expose it to the wrong person, it does not become lighter, it becomes vulnerable. Some people will offer comfort, but others will store it like a map, showing them exactly where you are weak. Courage is not loud, it is calm. Kindness, too, loses its purity when advertised. A good deed that waits for recognition becomes a transaction. A good deed done silently becomes meditation. Disappointment should be shared only with those who can hold it gently. Otherwise, pain becomes entertainment and wounds become stories for others to repeat. And finally, remember, this loneliness should not push you to open every door of your heart. Not everyone who enters is there to stay, and not everyone who listens is there to understand. Your life is not a public exhibition. It is a sacred journey. With age, you stop proving and start preserving. You preserve your energy, your dignity, your peace. You understand that a calm heart is richer than a loud life. A deep ocean does not display its treasures on the surface. And that is true maturity, not having nothing to say, but knowing what should remain unsaid. An elderly woman once said, "When I was young, I was afraid of being alone. Now I am afraid of being disturbed." That sentence carries the whole philosophy of growing older. In youth, we search for noise, company, validation. In age, we search for peace, space, and meaning. Life slowly teaches us that not every door needs to be opened and not every truth needs to be spoken. At some point, you realize that your words are not just sounds, they are seeds. Where they fall, something grows. Sometimes understanding grows, sometimes confusion, sometimes jealousy, sometimes pain. So wisdom begins when you choose the soil carefully. Your regrets, for example, are like old scars. They show where you were wounded, but they also prove that you survived. When you display them to everyone, people stop seeing your strength and start measuring your weakness. Let your past educate you, but do not let it introduce you. Then there is money, a subject that quietly reshapes relationships. Once people know how much you have, their behavior often changes without their permission. Conversations become heavier, expectations become louder, and simple affection begins to wear conditions. Silence about finances is not distance, it is dignity. Family conflicts also deserve privacy. Every home has its storms, but storms are faced indoors, not announced from the balcony. Outsiders may listen politely, but their opinions stay longer than their sympathy. Protect your family's honor the way you protect your own heartbeat. Dreams, too, grow better in darkness, like roots. When you expose them too early, they face unnecessary winds, doubt, mockery, comparison. Many plans fail not because they were weak, but because they were spoken too soon. Your fears are even more delicate. Some people will hold them like medicine, others like ammunition. The same truth can heal in one hand and hurt in another. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the ability to guard it wisely. Good deeds lose their sweetness when they seek witnesses. A flower does not announce its fragrance, it simply spreads it. Kindness should be the same. When you do good silently, your heart becomes lighter. Disappointments should also be shared selectively. Pain needs compassion, not curiosity. The wrong listener turns your tears into stories and your struggles into headlines. And loneliness should never become a reason to unlock every secret of your soul. Emptiness is not filled by noise, it is healed by meaning. Not every conversation is companionship, and not every companion is safe. With age, something beautiful happens. You stop trying to be impressive and start trying to be peaceful. You stop explaining yourself to everyone and start understanding yourself more. Your circle becomes smaller, but your life becomes deeper. A shallow stream makes a lot of sound as it flows. A deep river moves quietly, carrying its strength in silence. In the same way, maturity is not loud, it does not argue, it does not announce, it simply lives. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson of growing old, not to gather more words, but to protect your silence. In that silence lives your dignity, your clarity, and your freedom. A retired teacher once said, "When I was young, I wanted to be understood by everyone. Now I only want to understand myself." That one sentence explains the journey of life. In the beginning, we collect friends, opinions, and words. In the later years, we learn to collect peace. Slowly, very slowly, we realize that silence is not emptiness, it is protection. When you are young, you speak quickly and regret slowly. When you grow older, you think slowly and speak carefully. You discover that every personal detail you share becomes a small thread in someone else's memory. Some people will weave it into respect. Some will weave it into judgment. And some will turn it into a rope to pull you down. That is why wisdom teaches you not what to say, but what to keep. Your mistakes, for instance, belong to your growth, not to public discussion. They are pages of your private diary, not posters for the street. When spoken too often, they become your identity in other people's eyes, even if you have changed completely. Let your lessons shape you quietly. Money, too, is a sensitive language. When people know your financial position, the atmosphere changes. Advice turns into pressure. Requests turn into expectations. Relationships lose their natural shape. Privacy here is not distance, it is balance. Family issues are like medicine, powerful but dangerous in the wrong hands. Every home has misunderstandings, but not every misunderstanding needs an audience. Outsiders may offer sympathy, but their opinions remain long after their concern disappears. Dreams deserve silence. The moment you announce them, you invite unnecessary noise into something that needs focus. Too many voices dilute your own. Many beautiful plans die not from failure, but from exposure. Your fears also need shelter. Some people will respect them. Others will remember them. The same confession that feels light today can become a burden tomorrow if placed in the wrong heart. Strength is not shouting confidence. It is quietly guarding vulnerability. Good deeds should be light, not loud. The moment kindness starts seeking recognition, it loses its innocence. True goodness leaves no echo, only peace. Disappointments, too, are sacred. Share them only with those who can sit with your pain without turning it into a story. Otherwise, your wounds become entertainment for those who never bled, and loneliness should never push you to open every window of your soul. Not every visitor is safe, and not every listener is sincere. Your life is a temple, not a marketplace. With age, you stop trying to be extraordinary in front of others and start becoming honest with yourself. You realize that being calm is better than being admired, and being steady is better than being popular. You no longer chase attention, you protect your energy. A shallow lake reflects everything but holds nothing. A deep ocean holds everything but shows little. In the same way, a mature person does not reveal everything but understands everything. That is the quiet power of growing old, learning that your peace is more valuable than your opinions. Your silence more precious than your explanations, and your inner balance more important than being right. An old gardener once said, "In my youth I tried to grow many flowers. In my old age I try to protect the soil." That is what life slowly teaches us. When we are young, we are busy expressing. When we grow older, we become careful about preserving. We realize that peace is not created by saying everything, it is created by protecting something. There was a time when we believed that sharing everything would make us lighter. We thought openness was the same as strength. But age gently corrects that idea. It shows us that every word we release carries a part of our energy. Some people will respect it, some will waste it, and some will use it in ways we never intended. Our regrets, for example, are personal teachers. They sit quietly inside us, reminding us how far we have come. But when we place them in careless hands, they become labels instead of lessons. People stop seeing your growth and start measuring your past. Wisdom is allowing your history to guide you, not define you. Money is another delicate topic. The moment it becomes visible, relationships subtly change their shape. Conversations become careful, requests become frequent, and intentions become confusing. Silence here is not hiding, it is harmony. Family problems are also better kept within the walls of the heart and home. Outsiders may listen, but they do not live your life. Their advice often carries curiosity more than care. Protecting your family's struggles is a form of respect, not denial. Dreams, too, are fragile. Like a candle in the wind, They need shelter in the beginning. Too many opinions can blow out the flame before it learns to stand on its own. Let action speak when the time is right. Fears should be shared with wisdom. In the right hands, they heal. In the wrong hands, they become maps showing where you can be hurt. Strength is not pretending to be fearless. It is choosing wisely whom to trust. Kindness becomes heavy when it seeks applause. A good deed is pure only when it forgets itself. When you help quietly, your heart grows lighter, not louder. Disappointments should be handled gently. Pain is not a story for everyone. Some people listen to understand, others listen to repeat. Choose your listeners like you choose medicine carefully. And loneliness should never become an invitation to expose your entire soul. Silence with dignity is better than company with regret. Not every smile is safety, and not every conversation is connection. With age, something beautiful happens. You stop trying to be impressive and start trying to be peaceful. You stop decorating your life for others and start arranging it for yourself. Your circle becomes smaller, but your days become deeper. A tree that grows slowly develops strong roots. A life that learns to be silent develops strong balance. You begin to understand that privacy is not isolation, it is self-respect. And in the end, you realize that the most valuable possession is not what you tell the world, but what you quietly protect within yourself: your dignity, your calm, and your peace of mind. Old age is not about losing strength. It is about gaining clarity. You stop proving, you stop explaining, you stop begging for understanding. You start protecting your peace. Remember, a river that makes too much noise is usually shallow. A deep river flows silently. So speak less, observe more, trust slowly, and live lightly. Because the greatest luxury in old age is not money, not applause, not attention. It is peace of mind, and peace is born from wisdom. Thank you.